Returning to carnivore and animal-based eating has been a journey full of lessons that I wish that I had known earlier. So today I'm going to share 10 of my biggest takeaways that I think will help you if you are considering this lifestyle or if you're just getting back on track. Hi there, I'm Katarina from Meat Fueled Living. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the 10 biggest takeaways that I have that I think are going to really help if you're just wanting to start out, and even for me starting back up again. And we're just going to jump right into it. Lesson one for me was the importance of simplicity. When I first started on carnivore, I made it way more complicated than it needed to be. I felt like I needed to create these elaborate recipes, track every little thing that I did, and I was constantly worrying if I was doing it right. Now, I still do try out recipes and I do still loosely track things, but that's more of a me thing than a necessary thing. I have very un unmedicated, uncontrolled ADHD, and this is a coping thing for me. But worrying about those things can actually become overwhelming, and honestly, it does take the joy right out of eating. Simplicity is one of the biggest keys to success on this lifestyle, I think. Carnivore or animal based eating should strip away a lot of the unnecessary and actually just take you back to basics. And that simplicity is probably one of the main reasons I was able to stay a little bit more consistent. Now, if you look at my journey, I have gone from whole food plant-based vegan to like a stark carnivore to I was doing beef bacon and eggs for a while. Went into animal-based to try to help with some of the things that I was going through, and then slowly but surely just kind of converting back into more full carnivore. But that's been a process. The last few months after I had fallen off miserably of the wagon, I had to slowly ease my way back into things. But all that being said, simplicity is key. It is key. And even when I was doing a little bit more of the animal base, which did have a small amount of fruit in it, blueberries and some mango, but even when I was doing that, I kept it very, very simple. Very simple. And the reason why that works so well is because it literally is not overwhelming. You are not worrying about recipes and shopping lists and things like that. It's so much more sustainable. A steak in a skillet or an air fryer takes 10 minutes and it will satisfy you for hours. And I do find too that keeping it simple keeps it budget friendly. You don't need fancy ingredients. You don't really need supplements, honestly. You just need the basics like ground beef, eggs, and butter. And what's nice about that is those are the most affordable options. And if you're keeping it simple, it's really going to help your body or you be able to learn your body. If you keep the meals super simple, it becomes so easy to figure out the foods that are not making you feel your best or the foods that make you feel great. Lesson two for me was the power of consistency, consistency, consistency. If there's one thing that I have learned coming back to carnivore and all the times that I have fallen off of it, is that consistency is the key to getting back. It's your key to success. Not perfection, not some secret trick, just showing up for yourself every single day. And let me tell you, it is not always easy, but it is always worth it. And you might wonder why consistency I picked to be my number two lesson, but if you think about it, consistency is what actually turns, I don't like to call it a diet, more of a lifestyle. It turns it into a habit for you. It creates, I don't know, a good word would be trust. It creates trust in the process. Your body takes time to adjust to any lifestyle, especially something as big as transitioning to a carnivore or an animal based lifestyle. But if you consistently eat this way, you give your body the time and stability that it needs to heal and adapt and thrive, that just goes a long way. Um, it goes a long way in building your confidence too, really, honestly, because every consistent choice that you make, whether it's cooking that delicious ribeye instead of reaching for some fast food, or if you're going to choose eggs over something processed, that actually reinforces your ability to stick to your goals. And I think that's like a form of self-respect or self-trust. I think also that it has kind of a compounding effect. One healthy meal isn't going to fix anything. But if you string together weeks and weeks of consistent choices, I think that you'll be amazed at how much progress you can actually make. And I will be honest with you on this one. There were times when I struggled myself with staying consistent. Life got busy, temptations crept in, and I'd find myself slipping. Um, in the past, I would beat myself up over it, thinking that I failed, but what I've learned is that, consistency isn't about never making mistakes. It's actually about how quickly you can get back on track. Lesson number 3. This is a big one, and it did vie for a higher position, but lesson number 3 is listening to your body. One of the most surprising lessons, I think, since returning to animal based or carnivore eating for me is just how important it really is to truly listen to your body. We live in a world we live in a world that is constantly telling us what and when and how much to eat. But the truth is, your body already knows what it needs. You just have to figure it out. You have to tune into it. When you are eating a way that is clean, nutrient dense, like the carnivore diet, your body is finally going to have a chance to speak clearly to you. That noise from all those processed foods and constant sugar spikes, they're going to fade away. And you may actually start to notice things that you didn't before, like real hunger cues, feeling full, and how certain foods actually make you feel. To play that off, you actually need to be able to understand the difference between hunger and habit. Many of us eat because it's lunchtime, or because we're bored, but not because we're actually hungry. And every time I've started over, I had to ask myself, am I truly hungry? Am I eating out of routine? Real hunger feels physical, almost like this empty sensation in your stomach. And I had to learn to not link that to emotions. I also eat only until I'm satisfied, not till I'm stuffed. I just eat until I feel satiated. I know you hear that all the time, but if that means that I don't finish my plate, then I don't finish my plate. It's just as simple as that. And I also learned during this stage to kind of pay attention to how certain foods are making me feel. Some foods give me lots of energy and I feel clear headed after I eat, and some of them make me feel sluggish and bloated. As an example, really high fatty cuts of meat give me a steady amount of energy throughout the day, but if I go too much dairy, it can leave me feeling a little off. Dairy doesn't bother me as much as it does a lot of people, and I actually do think that it does contribute to some stalling that I have here and there. But for me, it's not a race. I'm working slowly towards my end goal, and so I just pay really close attention to what I'm eating and how it's making me feel. There are days that I am ravenous, you guys, ravenous, and I'll eat an entire ribeye and a half a dozen eggs. And then there are other days when I'm barely hungry at all, and I'll eat the smallest amount of fried ground beef. Honestly, and that's all I need to feel full and satisfied. Trusting those signals though, because the old me would have been like, that is no way gonna be enough to be eating. That's there's no way that's not fueling my body. But it's not an everyday thing for me. So I just trust those signals. They've been a really big game changer for me. They've helped me to stop obsessing over food and start, I think, eating in a way that feels a little bit more natural for me. So, lesson number 4 is going to be patience. Again, in a world where we expect instant results, one of the hardest lessons is going to be to learn patience. When it comes to transitioning to carnivore or animal based, if that's what you're doing, patience is going to be way more than just a virtue for you. It is a necessity. Real results are going to take time. And understanding this can mean the difference between giving up altogether or seeing a true transformation. The problem with instant gratification is we have been conditioned to want everything right now. fast weight loss, instant energy, immediate health improvements. And for some people, they might get that. But the truth is, when you're healing your body and building a more sustainable lifestyle, it doesn't work like that. You didn't develop insulin resistance, inflammation, or weight gain overnight, and you are not going to reverse it overnight either. So, some critical points about why I think patience is so important is that healing does take time. Your body is incredibly smart, but it has been through a lot. If you've been eating processed foods, dealing with metabolic issues, or struggling with gut health, it's going to take a long time for your body to repair and reset. It just is, you guys. Also, adapting to fat as fuel, there's an adaptation period when transitioning this way of life. You might feel tired. You might feel sluggish. You might experience symptoms like keto flu. It's temporary, and patience will get you through it. There are other things, of course, electrolytes and things like that, but there is a certain amount of uncomfortableness that you're going to have to understand that you may go through, and you need to have the patience to understand that you can get through it. You also need to understand your unique journey. Everyone's timeline is different. Some people, like I said, see these dramatic changes in a few weeks, while others, it takes months to see their bodies fully adapt. Patience is what's going to allow you to embrace your own processes without comparing yourself to others. When I first started carnivore back in the beginning, and probably several times since, as I have fallen off, I focused on the results. I do want the weight to drop off. It was never my main concern, but I loved it when it was. I want my energy to skyrocket. I want my cravings to disappear, and I would love it if it all would happen within a few weeks. But it didn't happen. In fact, my body had a very rough adjustment period. I had really, if you watch any of my videos, I had horrible headaches. I felt tired. I had diarrhea. I literally questioned just about every day, 5, 6, 7 times a day, if I was making the right choice. But I did stick with it. And after a few weeks, things started to shift for me. My energy did stabilize. My cravings mostly faded. I can't lie to you and tell you that they did completely, because I am a sugar addict and I may possibly deal with this forever. But I will tell you what I did notice, that my clothes were fitting differently, and that was just unbelievable. So looking back, I realize now that patience was really just a missing piece for me. It gave my body the time that it really needed to do the work that it needed to do. I focused on non-scale victories. That became a big thing for me. I celebrated my smallest wins, and I keep a journal. You've probably seen me mention that in a lot of my videos. If you are not new here, if you are new here, you may hear a lot of people tell you, you don't need to journal, you don't need to do this, you don't need to track. Well, in theory, no, you don't. But for some people like me, with my disabilities, it is a comfort for me. It's my emotional support journal. So, plus, I'll get into journaling more, but there are reasons why you should. But also, finally, lean on your community during all of this. I know this is kind of like I'm squeezing this in at the end of patience, but lean on your community. I know I personally am always happy to chat with people. If you need any motivation on your journey, I am here for you. Seriously, message me. Um, let's see, lesson number 5, building discipline over motivation. So more important, discipline, not motivation. And you'll hear that all the time, that you need to be motivated to do stuff. But we've all been there. We've all been waiting for that spark of motivation to get us going. But here is the real hard truth for you. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and it goes like the wind. If you want real lasting success on the carnivore or animal based lifestyle, or you know what, frankly, any area of your life, you need something stronger. You're going to need discipline. So, motivation is what will get you started, though. It will, but discipline's going to be what keeps you going. Motivation is what I consider to be fueled by emotion. You know, maybe you saw a transformation photo that inspired you, or you woke up feeling ready to take on the world. But what happens on those days when you don't feel inspired? Where that is where discipline will come in. So think of it this way: motivation is temporary, it's the excitement to start something new, but discipline Discipline is consistent. It is the commitment that will keep you going, even when it's hard, even when it's boring. When it comes to the carnivore diet or animal based, discipline is going to help you, number one, not choke on your coffee. Number one, stay on track when cravings hit. There are going to be days when old habits or emotional triggers are going to try to pull you right back down into the processed foods. Discipline is going to be your shield against it. Discipline's also going to help you stick with it during the tough times. Maybe you are not seeing immediate results, or you're struggling, or you're struggling with the adaptation phase. I can't speak. You're struggling with the adaptation phase. Discipline is going to help push you through that. And discipline will also help you show up consistently, whether it's planning meals, cooking, simply eating the foods that you know are going to nourish your body. Discipline is going to ensure that you follow through no matter how you feel. When I first started carnivore, and actually probably subsequently since then, I relied heavily on motivation. I would watch video after video after video, and there is nothing wrong with that, understand. I scrolled through social media like it was nobody's business, and I tell myself every time, this is it, this is it. But as soon as life got hard, as soon as I started going things, as soon as I didn't feel motivated, I would slip back into old habits, and I'm spitting. I'm very, very excited. God. Anyways, I hope you guys don't watch my videos because of my stellar professional content. Anyhow, I realized that if I wanted lasting results, I really wasn't going to be able to rely on motivation alone. I was going to have to build discipline. Those daily habits and those commitments, they don't depend, or that won't depend, I guess, on how I feel in that moment. So for me, it really looked a lot like setting non negotiables, things that like always having meals prepped in the refrigerator, or reminding myself of my why. That is very important, and sticking to my plan no matter how tempting a cheat meal sounded. Over time, I got better, and discipline became much more of a second nature for me, and that's when I really started to see the transformation. Again, if you know my story, I lost 40 pounds after I got the hang of it, after I figured out what was going on and stopped focusing on the wrong things. Things just started happening for me. So that is the time when your real transformation will begin. Lesson number 6. Lesson number 6 is going to be navigating social situations and sticking to your goals. And I do actually believe, again, that's why it made it to this list, that sticking to the carnivore diet, especially for me, maybe for you too, is navigating social situations. And it's not just regular social situations. For me, it was the holidays that took me out, the family gatherings, the parties, eating out with my friends, different temptations and emotional triggers. Those were the big kickers for me. Maybe they are for you too. That was where I fell off the wagon, seriously. Social situations are going to bring a very unique set of challenges when you are following specific ways of eating. You're going to have that pressure to conform. People might not understand your choices, and they may encourage you to live a little or just have a bite. There's going to be temptation everywhere, from chips to desserts, alcohol, carb heavy meals. It's going to feel like there's nothing out there for you to eat. And you may also feel the occasional awkward questions, those uncomfortable ones like, why are you not eating bread? Isn't meat all bad for you? And I'll tell you again, full disclosure, I did not navigate the holiday battlefield successfully. That, coupled with my personal things that happened in my life, which again, if you've been following my channel, you know I've been going through moving out, divorce, all of that stuff. It's been a mess. But that is where I had a major detour in my journey. So if you've been following, you know all that. In the future, though, I do have a game plan for the holidays. And my first step to navigating those situations is going to be knowing my why and asking myself, why? Why are you following this lifestyle, and what are your goals? And then I'm going to ask myself, how did I feel if I stuck to my plan versus all those times when I gave in to pressure? I'm going to remind myself of those things. Having a really clear purpose in your mind is actually going to help you stay grounded, I think, especially when temptation arises. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm just saying that you need to have that. And before you head out, make a decision about what you're going to eat and what you won't eat. Setting those boundaries ahead of time hopefully it's going to make it a lot easier for you to stick to them. And again, social situations, I do think, especially for me, like around the holidays, that preparation will be your best friend. A few ideas on how to set yourself up. You've heard them before. Eat before you go. If you're not sure that there's going to be some food options that align with your goals, eat a satisfying meal beforehand. A big fatty ribeye, some eggs. Those can keep you full and make it easier to say no to those less optimal foods. Mm. You could bring your own dish too for potlucks or family gatherings. Bring a carnivore friendly dish to share, or not. Eat it all yourself if that's what you got to do. But not only are you going to have something to eat, but you might even inspire other people to try it out. Yeah, definitely. You could scope out the menu. You could definitely scope out the menu if you're eating out. Check to see what they have. Most restaurants can accommodate simple requests like, I just want plain grilled meat, put extra butter on the side. Most of the time, they will do that for you. Sorry, my chair makes a lot of noise. Regarding the nosy people or the awkward situations, people are just curious. And sometimes, dare I say, excuse me, a little judgmental. So when they see you eating something differently, they wonder why. And I do think there's a couple ways that you can handle those conversations without coming across really defensive. One of them is going to be keep it simple. When people ask why you're eating this way, why you don't have to give them a detailed explanation. You can just simply say, I feel great eating this way. And sometimes that's enough. You can redirect the conversation. If someone keeps pressing you for more details, just change the subject as politely as you can. You can say, you know what, I'm happy to share more later, but right now I just want to enjoy the party. And then try to remain confident. Remember, you don't owe anyone at all, an explanation for your choices. Confidence is key. When you're secure in your decisions, others are going to be less likely to challenge you. And finally, focus on the experience, not the food. It's just funny that just focus on your family and the people that are around you and your friends and the experiences, and just so many holidays are focused around the food. Just don't do that. It's easy to feel it is. It's easy to feel like social events revolve entirely around food, but you and I both know there's so much more to enjoy. Okay, so here we're gonna circle back because my lesson 7 to you is gonna be the importance of tracking your progress. And don't get this one confused with tracking everything that you eat, because you do not need to do that on this journey. But if you're returning to carnivore like me, improving, because I want to improve my health or I want to build these long-term habits, there's one critical tool that I feel like just don't overlook it. That's track your progress. It's not just about seeing where you've been, but it's also going to help you stay motivated. We know that's fleeting, and identifying what's working and tweaking what is not. So why I do think that tracking your progress is non-negotiable is because, well, it keeps you honest. When you track your progress, you're holding yourself accountable. You cannot argue with those numbers, those photos, or those journal entries. They tell you the truth. And if you journal, it's going to highlight patterns. Tracking will help you notice trends. Are you feeling more energized after eating certain foods? Are you feeling bloated, or are you feeling tired after other ones? Seeing these patterns are going to help you refine your approach for what is working for you. It also shows a growth over time. Progress can be subtle. Oftentimes, you won't even notice it, especially when it comes to like your general health. You might not notice those daily changes, but when you look back at where you've started, the growth will be undeniable for you. You'll be able to see that, and that's motivating. Progress, no matter how small, is incredibly motivating. And again, we know motivation is fleeting, so it's helpful to keep it in there. Whether you're losing this inch off your waistline, you're lifting heavier weights, or simply feeling better, tracking lets you help wins or helps you celebrate those wins. And there are different ways that you can track. It doesn't have to be time consuming, it doesn't have to be complicated. Here's a few things that I do. Journaling, number one, I write down what I eat and how I felt and any physical or mental changes. I'm not tracking my carbs or my fat or whatever. You can do that. And I have done that, but that's not what I mean for this. It can be just as simple as keeping a notebook, or you can use an app if that's what you like. Photos, 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 photos. Back in the first time when I was first starting carnivore, I was very, very visibly bloated and looked really, really bad. I would not always see that I was making changes. And back in the beginning of my videos, I was actually doing weekly check-ins with pictures and measurements and stuff, but I don't have anybody to do that anymore. And it's really hard to measure yourself. And I'm not going to have my 14-year-old son wrapping a tape measure around any parts of my body. So I'm not doing that right now unless I can get my daughter to come over, but I did take progress photos, weekly or monthly, front, side, and back views. And those photos, trust me, trust me, trust me, as hard as they were to put out on the internet for the world to see, they showed changes that I could never see in the mirror day to day. I also took my measurements. Again, I used a measuring tape. I tracked areas like my waist, my hips, my chest, and my thighs. I also did my arms and my neck. You know, it's standard just measurements. This is really useful for you if the scale is not moving, but your body composition is changing. And this one is going to be very controversial because people will tell you to throw the stinking scale away. But I'm going to tell you don't if that's what you need to do because it can be helpful. It's not your only measure of progress, though. Remember, weight fluctuates due to water retention, muscle gain, other factors. But if a scale makes you feel good to track it, then you do that. You don't let anybody make you feel bad because that's what you're doing. Don't. Because I went through that in the beginning of my journey, but I did have people telling me, don't track your weight. That's not what's important. This isn't important. That isn't important. But you know what? They were things that helped me. So, sorry. If that's what you need to do, you do that. You do you, okay? The other thing I think that it will help you is track your energy levels and your moods. If you keep track of how you feel throughout the day, are you feeling more energized? Are you sleeping better? Are you feeling less stressed? Those are important things to know. Those physical changes are just as important as the numbers. There is a caveat to tracking, though. There's a caveat to tracking what you eat, and this might pertain more to if you are doing animal based than like with some fruits and veggies or dairy, if you don't do that normally. And we can actually discuss that more because not everybody is eating only meat. And again, if that's what's working for you, you do you. Some things, though, that I think that you might want to track on this carnivore or animal-based diet are going to be things like what you're eating. Again, I'm not telling you to track every carb. If you want to weigh your food and do all that, you do that. You do that. You do that till the cows come home. All I'm telling you to do is track what you are eating. Are you eating meat, organ meats, fats, any extra eggs, dairy, things like that? Because if you are experimenting with new foods, you need to write that down as well. Because you need to also be writing how that's making you feel. Write those symptoms down. Are you experiencing digestive changes, cravings, other symptoms? Track these. Sorry, I'm yelling. Track these to see if they improve as you adapt because they might. There are some people that can't have dairy at all in the beginning of their journey, and then, like me, I can have it and it doesn't bother me within moderation. Things change, you guys. Also, track physical changes, your energy levels, your sleep quality, your skin health, your mental clarity. Those are all great indicators of progress. It's not just about your weight or how big you are, okay? It's not. Also, check and document performance. Are you getting stronger? Are you getting faster? Are you getting more active? Track your workouts, track your hikes, track your bike rides. Track it all if that's what you need to do. But to track those things, you can see 4 months ago, I couldn't even ride a bike a mile. Now I'm riding a bike 4 miles. Maybe you're not losing all the weight that you want, but you are improving. So those are things that make the journey much more, I don't know, motivating for you. It helps with the motivation. So you got your discipline and your motivation. It's just, they're really great things. And then also, I think Track your adaptation phases. If you're just starting out, if you return into carnivore, track how long it takes for you to adapt. You're going to notice if you fall off again and then get back on, that happens a lot quicker. Note things like carb cravings or if your energy levels subside. It's going to be proof to you that you are on the right path. So here's the thing. Progress isn't always going to be dramatic or fast, and sometimes it's those little things that are going to matter the most. Did you stick to your plan for this whole week straight? Because that's a win, you guys. Did you notice that you're not craving sugar anymore? Huge win, you guys. Do your clothes fit better even when the scale hasn't budged? Celebrate it. Tracking is going to help you see these small wins. Those are going to build the momentum and keep you motivated to keep going. There will be times when you will feel that you are not making any progress. And here's what you need to do. You need to go back to that journal and you need to revisit your data. Look back at what you've been tracking. Are there patterns that you've missed? Are you eating enough? Are you hydrating? Or are you getting enough sleep? Of course, be patient. Progress will take time. You know that. We've talked about it. Your body might be healing or adapting in ways that you just can't see yet. And then always just adjust as needed. If something isn't working, do not be afraid to tweak your approach. Maybe you need to eat more fat. Maybe you need fewer distractions during your meals. I don't know. Maybe you need better portion sizes. Tracking will give you the clarity to make those informed changes. Back to when I first started, I was tracking my progress and I realized that I wasn't eating enough fat. You might remember the videos about that. And you know what? I even explained in my videos, I was feeling low energy some days. But after I started eating more fat, I noticed my sleep had improved dramatically after cutting out some of the dairy that I was doing too much. And I only figured that out because I was tracking how I felt daily in my journal. And when I look back at my journals, I can see how far I've come, even when it feels like I wasn't making any progress at all. That's the beauty of tracking. It keeps you grounded, it keeps you focused, and it helps inspire you to keep moving forward. Now, if you need some advice, or you want me to do a video on how to stay consistent more with tracking, let me know in the comments down below because we can talk about this some more. I feel like I'm the professional tracker over here. um, Okay, lesson 8 is going to be celebrating your small wins. This is important. This is a big one too. When it comes to your health or your lifestyle changes, we often get so focused on those big, far off goals that we forget to celebrate those small victories along the way. But here's the thing with that, those small wins are your building blocks for your success. They're going to help with that motivation because, again, she's fleeting, you guys. It's going to reinforce your progress and it's going to remind you why you started in the first place. So, let's talk a little bit about the psychology behind celebrating those wins. We're going to talk some science for a minute. When you celebrate a win, no matter how small, it triggers a release of dopamine in your brain. This is the feel-good chemical that reinforces the behavior that got you there, making it much more likely that you're going to keep going. And that matters because you're going to build momentum. It's going to help you keep focused on your progress instead of perfection, you guys. And it's going to make the journey enjoyable, not, well, as enjoyable as it can be, right? You're not just focusing on the destination. And a couple ways that you can celebrate some small wins on the carnivore diet are things like successfully sticking to a plan for a full day or a full week, whatever step you need. Noticing improvements in your energy, your digestion, or your mood. Cooking a new carnivore friendly meal that you actually ended up loving. And navigating social events without straying from your goals. Or even better, fitting into clothes that didn't fit you before. Those might seem small, but they're the proof that what you're doing is working. And how to celebrate some of those small wins. We talked about some ways that you could and ways that you could celebrate. And you don't got to throw a party. If you want to, do it, but you don't got to. You could write it down. Put it in your journal tracker. Note your wins. Seeing them written out is going to make you feel, and it feel so much better and so real. Share your success story. You guys post about it on your social media. Put it in the Facebook group. I've got a Facebook group. It hasn't been especially active lately because I hadn't been active lately, but post it. I will see it. We will celebrate it. Or tell a friend who's going to support your journey. I personally don't have any of those, so I reach out to you guys, my social media group, but tell a friend if you've got one, and then treat yourself to something new if you can, if that's feasible. Maybe you need a little new kitchen gadget, or maybe it's a higher cut quality of steak that you wouldn't normally buy. It doesn't have to be big. It could be just that sugar-free coffee from Starbucks, if that's what your thing is that you never go and do but occasionally will, as long as it's something that makes you feel good. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about it. And then pause, and reflect. Take a moment to feel proud of yourself. Sometimes just acknowledging your effort would be enough. And then you know what you're going to do? You're going to set your next goal. And you're going to use the momentum that you just had from this win to propel you to your next milestone. I was my literal worst enemy. When I started my journey, I used to overlook those small wins. I would think, well, I had a good day. That's just one good day. Or maybe it was just a pound lost. Tomorrow I'll gain it back. When I actually started celebrating those moments, like finishing a week without any cravings or waking up that day with more energy, it did start to change things for me. Those small victories reminded me of why I started this whole thing in the first place, and they kept me excited and it helped me keep going. And they made me feel like I had fuel for my bigger goals. Because here's the truth, you guys, progress is made up of a lot of small, consistent steps. Every win, no matter how small, is proof that you are moving in the right direction. So today, I'm going to challenge you. I want you to tell me one small win that you can celebrate right now. Drop it in my comments, drop it down there. I would love to celebrate with you. The cat's in here. Because remember, you guys, it's not just about reaching the finish line. It's not. It's about enjoying that journey if you can, recognizing every step forward, and keep going because you are doing amazing. You tell yourself that. Lesson number 9. It's kind of weird because we're going to talk about something because the lesson is how to break through or breaking through plateaus. Because let's just say you're sticking to the plan and you're doing everything right, and then suddenly your progress just stops. Has that happened to you guys? It's happened to me. That's what we call a plateau. And it's one of the most frustrating parts of any health or weight loss journey. It is aggravating. But the good news, there is good news. Plateaus don't have to be permanent, and they're not a sign of failure, you guys. In fact, they're often really a sign that your body's adjusting. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about why plateaus happen. I know we're kind of veering a little bit away about the lesson that I learned, but I'm going to talk also about how to overcome them and how to stay motivated when it feels like nothing is working, because that's a lesson that I needed to learn. Plateaus in general, they're not random. They're usually going to happen for a reason. And a couple of the most common culprits are that your body is adapted. As you lose weight, or you improve your health, your body becomes more efficient and it's going to start burning fewer calories. It also could be that you're in a routine because your body thrives more on variety. Really, it does. Doing the same thing over and over can actually lead to diminishing returns on your investment, you guys. Stress or lack of sleep. The cortisol is your stress hormone. It can actually stall your progress, and so can not getting enough sleep. And then hidden changes, things like sometimes the scale's not going to move, but there's a progress in other areas. So you're focusing on the fact that you're not losing any weight, but your body composition or your energy levels might be changing. So that could be that. Um, and then for me, I had my lesson was how to stay positive during those plateaus. The mental side of the plateau is actually just as tough as the physical. And I kind of compiled some ways to help you stay a little bit motivated during that, to help you. Um, the first one is focus on that big picture. And again, I know that's kind of goes against like that big, huge goal, but we're talking more, and because I just said earlier, we're going to focus on those small wins, but this is a little different. We're focusing on the big picture because we're trying to combat some things with plateaus. I don't want you to think that the plateau is going to erase all the progress that you made so far. So focus on that big picture. I'm not saying again that goal that's way out there. I want you to focus on the whole thing. Maybe you're not moving right now, but look how far you've come, kind of thing. And of course, always, as I said before, celebrate your non scale wins. Progress is never going to be just about the numbers, it has to also be about how you feel and what your body is now able to do. And remind yourself over and over again that this is normal. Plateaus do happen to everybody. It is part of the journey, it is not the end of your journey. And of course, trust the process, stay consistent. Remember, small adjustments can lead to big breakthroughs. So, our final lesson, the big kahuna, the big one that I think I wish that I would have had a better grasp of, even though I thought I did when I began my journey. And that is really, truly the deep motivation that's behind your journey being your why. Starting this carnivore diet, this animal based diet, starting it up again, being the first time, whatever it is, it's exciting. But can you stay committed for the long haul? That's going to take a much deeper why than just wanting to lose weight or just to feel better. It really is going to take knowing your real, true why. And that is, I'm going to keep saying why, is your driving force behind everything that you do. It's your anchor. It's what keeps you steady when all of these challenges keep arising. And we can dig a little deeper into why your whys and how it's going to evolve over time, because I also think that it changes. And I do think that it'll be one of your most, if not the most powerful tool for you to be able to stay on track. So, loosely defined why, because you're going to hear it all over, especially in the carnivore community. Loosely, to me, your why is your personal reasons for making this change. It's not going to be a surface level goal, like I want to lose 20 pounds. It's going to be more emotional and more of a meaningful reason than I want to lose 20 pounds. And you will have heard maybe you want to be active so that you can play with your kids or your grandkids, or maybe you want to reverse these health issues and reclaim your life, or maybe you just want to feel good in your own skin again, like you used to. Whatever your why is, it has to mean something to you personally, because without it, it is going to be way too easy to lose focus when things get tough. And I have discovered that there are a few ways to help you discover your why if you're struggling with that. It will take it's going to take some reflection. I keep that in mind. It will take some reflection, but I do think that it'll be worth it. And what you'll want to do first is take a swig of coffee. Ask yourself why. Well, this is what I did. Ask yourself why 5 times. Start with your surface goal. I want to lose weight. Okay. But then you're going to ask, why is that important? And then you're going to ask why again to each one of those answers until you discover your deeper reason. So it's going to be why. And then you're going to say this. And you're going to say, okay, well, why that? And then you're going to say, you know what I'm saying? You're going to come down this staircase until you really get down to the nitty gritty of it. And you're going to want to focus on feelings. Do not focus on numbers. Think about how you want to feel, how you want to be energized, confident, capable. Just do not focus on what you want to weigh or what you want to look like. It did help for me to picture my future self, visualizing kind of where I wanted to be in the next 1, 5, 10-ish years. What does your life look like for you? And what will it look like if you stick to this journey? And what will happen if you don't? That's another important one. And you guys write it all down. Putting your why into words is going to make it real. Post it somewhere if that works for you. Post it somewhere where you can see it every single day. But do keep in mind that your why will evolve over time. It is not going to be set in stone. It might change as you grow. It might change as you reach different milestones. This is kind of what that might look like. In your early stages, maybe your why might be about reversing health issues, or seeing these quick wins like weight loss, even though that's not one that I would necessarily recommend, but let's just say it's yours. Your middle stage why might be, as you're progressing along, it's going to maybe shift to performing things or achieving new goals, like maybe you want to run a 5K or a marathon or something. And again, your long-term one could be focusing on, I don't know, longevity, mental clarity, or inspiring others through your journey. You're going to need to revisit your why and regularly adjust it as your life evolves. And I feel like that's something that's just not talked about a lot. I hear everybody know your why, find your why. If it's not big enough, you're not going to do it. I hear all of these different things, but nobody ever really seems to say that you're going to have to adjust it as time goes on and as things change. But you are. And you can use your why to help you stay motivated. That fleeting motivation. Because once you know your why, once you know it, make it your compass. Remind yourself daily. Keep your why in front of you all the time. Write it on a sticky note. Set it as your phone wallpaper. Repeat it like a mantra if you need to. And lean on it during those tough times. When the cravings are going to hit you, when you feel like you want to quit, revisit your why. Remind yourself what's at stake and share it. Share it, share it, share it. Share it with supportive people if you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable sharing your why, put it in the comments down below. Let me hear about it. Telling others about your why adds accountability. It helps them understand your journey. And always, I say this will be the third, fourth, fifth time, celebrate your wins. Celebrate the wins that are aligned with that why, especially. When you achieve something that's connected to that deeper motivation, and you take time to celebrate it, you are going to reinforce that commitment. You really, really are. So here's going to be your challenge. We're going to have a challenge at the end of the lesson, okay? I want you to take some time today, and I want, if you haven't figured out your why, or if you need to revamp it, I want you to dig a little bit deeper. Find it. Find your why. Write it down. Reflect on it. Make it your anchor. What is your why? I'm curious. Drop it in the comments below. Like I said, I'd love to hear what's driving you on this journey. And remember, every single step you take is going to bring you closer to the life that you want. So you're going to stay committed, you're going to stay strong, and you're going to keep moving forward. So, as we wrap up that final lesson, number 10, I want to leave you with one simple truth, and that is that this journey isn't just about food. It's about transformation. It's about taking control of your health and your habits and ultimately your life, you guys. Our whys are our compasses, they're our guides and our motivation. And when things get tough, and they will, come back to it. Let it remind you of why you started and why you are worth every single ounce of effort that you are putting in. You are, you guys, you are. If you've been following along in this video and you got through to the end, I hope that it has given you some tools or insights or maybe a little bit of encouragement to take it to the next steps for you with some confidence. Remember, no matter where you are starting or what challenges you are faced, you are not alone. We are in this together. So, thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If this lesson was or is or has resonated with you at all, please like, comment, and subscribe so that we can keep growing in our incredible community. And do not forget to share your why in the comments. I'd absolutely love to hear your story. So until next time, stay strong, stay focused, keep moving forward. You have got this. Oh, and eat your meat.